The following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Friday edition of Main Street Sports today, as we will be joined by Jeff Him of the Nashville Sounds, the play-by-play voice. Also, Mike Keith will be joining us as the official Titans podcast goes on a little road trip into our backyard. Also, Mike DETILLIER, an NFL draft expert. All of that coming up, plus the Braves opening night last night. Talk about that and so much more here on this Friday edition of Main Street Sports Today. Now to the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton, with the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao.
Welcome into this Friday edition of Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yao. He's Mo Patton, and JP's on the controls. We thank you guys for hanging out with us here, and we have got a lot to get to today. As JP told you, we've got 3 guests, and of course, we'll talk about the Braves and just about everything else that's going on in the world of sports. We'll clean up and take out the trash in the final segment of the day. All the things we didn't get to this week, we will add to that final segment. So, should be a lot of fun. But fact is that we've got a really long list of scores and schedules to get to you guys. So we want to do that as quickly as we can. So let's go ahead and jump right in, give you yesterday's results, this weekend schedule on the rundown.
The Rundown. The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support local youth sports in southern Middle Tennessee. All right, here we go. A big rundown today on this Friday edition. We've got Franklin Franklin defeated Centennial 8-1. Clarksville over Gallatin 13-5. It was Columbia Academy over the Tennessee Monarchs. CPA defeated Innsworth. Dixon County down Stewart's Creek. It was Gallatin 7, Hopkinsville from Kentucky 6. Hardin County 16-5 winners over Loretto. It was Hume Fogg 27. That's right, 27-4 over Stratford. Independence 10-0 over Ravenwood. East Robertson defeated Joe Burns 8-2. Lawrence County over Richland last night. Middle Tennessee Christian over Laverne. Mount Juliet defeated Green Hill. It was Murfreesboro Central Magnet over Mount Pleasant. Nolensville defeating Brentwood. Clarksville Academy by a run over Pope John Paul II. It was Spring Hill 18-2 over Richland. Rossview 14-3 over Hopkinsville from Kentucky. Lewis County defeated Summertown 3-2. Summertown then defeated Collinwood 11-1. Portland over White House Heritage 2-1, and Lebanon over Wilson Central 7-4. In high school softball from yesterday, Beach over Gallatin 8-7. Blackman over Oakland. Yesterday, it was Summit over Columbia. Mount Juliet Christian 15-10 over Franklin Road Academy. Davidson Academy 3-2 winners over Friendship Christian. Giles County shutting out Lewis County yesterday. Lawrence County 7-2 over Tullahoma. Columbia Academy winners over Middle Tennessee Christian. Loretto down Mount Pleasant. Zion Christian 19-1 over Riverside Christian. Holyoke 20-2 over Santa Fe. It was Riverdale 4-3 over Siegel. Smyrna 4-1 over Page. Clarksville shutting out Springfield. Station Camp 7-1 over Hendersonville. Westmoreland 1-0 over Smith County. And White House Heritage 7-0 over Cheatham County. On the pitch yesterday was Wayne County 8-1 over Colioca. Wilson Central 1-1. They tied. Marshall County 4-1 over Lawrence County. It was Cookeville 4-0 over Mount Juliet. Murfreesboro Central Magnets shutting out Glencliff with 5 goals. Nashville Christian the same over Mount Juliet Christian. Smyrna 1-0 over Lebanon. Columbia 5-0 over Station Camp. Watertown 3-1 over Jackson County. White House 2-0 over Springfield. In AAA baseball, the Durham Bulls 6-3 winners over the Sounds yesterday, and the Braves fall on their season opener to the Reds 6-3. NHL, the Preds winners over the Senators last night 3-2. And in the NBA, the Grizzlies fall to the Nuggets 122-109. Busy schedule this weekend. We'll start with Friday high school baseball. Centennial and Blackman, Houston and Clarksville. Seymour versus Gallatin, Loretto and Richland play. It is Davidson Academy and Clarksville Academy, Zion Christian and Riverside Christian. Father Ryan and Smyrna. Brentwood Academy versus Father Ryan.
JP,
Yo.
I took the time to put all of these times in the order in which they are being played.
All right.
So please, if you would indulge me to tell folks, because I copy and pasted this to be in the order of time that the first pitch is being thrown. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just
Chris just wants you to recognize his hard work.
please. 'Cause if anyway,
We shall start again. Centennial at Blackman. No time for that
no
game.
time listed.
All right, 3 o'clock. Houston and Clarksville, Gallatin, Seymour, 3:30. Loretto, Richland at 4. Davidson Academy and Clarksville Academy, also Zion Christian and Riverside Christian at 4:30 today. It is Smyrna at Father Ryan, also Brentwood Academy at Father Ryan.
I don't know how they're going to play 2 games at the same time against 2 different opponents. But hey, good for them.
I'm just reading what you put in
Listen, man,
your times.
it is what it is.
All right, also at 4:30, it is Richland versus Summertown. It is, let's see, Good Pasture Lipscomb Academy. It is Providence Christian at Mount Juliet Christian at 5 tonight. Creekwood and Waverly play 5:30. Clarksville Academy will host Pope John Paul II. It is Hickman County at Hampshire, also at 5:30. Lyon County from Kentucky versus Mount Juliet. Rossview hosting Seymour at 6. We've got Watertown Stone Memorial, Columbia at Siegel, Colioca hosting Cornersville Community at Eagleville, Giles County hosting Collinwood at 6:30, Nolensville at Brentwood, PGA at Columbia Academy, Summit at Page at 6:30. Also at 6:30, Christian County, Kentucky will be at Davidson Academy tonight. East Hickman and Mount Pleasant. Portland will host Joe Burns. Also 6:30, Ravenwood and Cane Ridge, Moore County at Laverne, Oakland at Stewart's Creek, Hillwood at West Creek. It is White House Heritage at White House. It is Henry County at Clarksville. That's a 7 p.m. That's Clarksville Northwest. Easel Harding at Franklin Road Christian, also at 7. And at 7, Springfield at Greenbrier. Mount Juliet at Clarksville at 8. Friendship Christian at Hendersonville at 7. Dixon County at Kenwood 7. Tullahoma at Rockville also at 7. On Saturday morning, 11 a.m. starts DCA University School of Nashville, NBA Good Pasture, also Rossview at Houston. At noon, Siegel at Columbia, also at noon, West Creek at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Giles County hosting Page, Seymour at Mount Juliet. Pope John Paul II versus Webb School at 1. It is Oakland at Brentwood. Mount Juliet Christian versus Hillsboro at 1. Also, Riverdale and Ravenwood will play at 1:30. Kenwood will be at Dixon County. Gallatin hosting Houston at 1:30. At 2, Harpeth at East Robertson. Also at 2, Murfreesboro Central Magnet at Shelbyville. East Nashville at Howard. At 2:30, Columbia Academy will be at BGA. Davidson Academy will host Leon County out of Kentucky. It is Clarksville Northwest at Henry County at 2:30. Also 2:30, Middle Tennessee Christian versus CAK. 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, East Nashville at Howard. It is Mount Juliet at Rossview, Rockville at Tullahoma, Father Ryan at Brentwood at 5, Davidson Academy at Clarksville, Middle Tennessee Christian at Silverdale Academy at 5, 5:45, Spring Hill host at Summertown. At 6, it is Upperman hosting Wilson Central. 6:30 will be Rossview hosting Keys Valley from Ohio. Fairview at Dixon County at 7. Also at 7, Watertown at Hendersonville, Blackman at Centennial, no time. On Friday in softball, 4:30 this afternoon, Clarksville Academy at Davidson Academy. At 5, DCA at Easel Harding. Also at 5, Middle Tennessee Christian at Columbia Academy. Gallatin versus Westmoreland. Tullahoma at Page. At 5:30, Canyon County at Zion Christian. Santa Fe at Richland at 6. Also at 6, Laverne at Friendship Christian. Siegel at Rockville at 6:30. Clarksville Northwest at Macon County at 7. Franklin County hosting Columbia Academy at 7. Also Columbia at 7. Also at 7, East Hamilton and Harpeth, Zion Christian and Community. At 9:30, Coffee County hosting Hendersonville tonight. Late night. It is Saturday, 8 a.m. Mount Pleasant will be playing Community. 9:30, Zion Christian and Colioca. At 10:30, Blackman and East Hamilton. At 11 will be Webb School and Mount Juliet Christian. Also at 11, Friendship Christian and Nashville Christian. 12:30, Colioca and Community. At 2, Canyon County and Zion Christian. And at 4, Columbia Academy and Siegel. Soccer, boys, Friday tonight, 6 o'clock, Rockville at Stewart's Creek. Decatur County Riverside at Loretto. It is Farragut at Hendersonville, Fairview at Creekwood. At 6:15, Curry Ingram hosting Zion Christian. 6:30, Hume-Fog at Martin Luther King. 7 o'clock, first touch, Oakland and Blackman. Page at Giles County. White House at Hunters Lane. Also Siegel at Riverdale. 8:30, Gallatin and Bearden. On Saturday, 11 a.m., Middle Tennessee Christian and Providence Christian. At 2:30, Knox Central and Gallatin. And then at 6 Saturday night, Hendersonville and Bearden. And on Sunday, 11 a.m., Hendersonville versus Knox Webb. College baseball, Vanderbilt and Auburn knock off a 3-game series today. Missouri and Tennessee, the same. Austin Peay, UT Martin, Tennessee Tech at Belmont. Eastern Kentucky is at Lipscomb, and MTSU is at Marshall. All those series in Division I. Division II, Lake Erie is at Trevecca. NAIA Cumberland is at Bethel. JUCO, Cleveland State at Columbia State. Southwest Tennessee State at Ball State. College softball. Beginning this weekend, series include Georgia at Tennessee, Austin Peay at Tennessee State, Lipscomb at Kennesaw State, Murray State at Belmont, FIU at MTSU. Division II, Trevecca welcomes Tiffin, and it is Lindsey Wilson at Cumberland, JUCO, Cleveland State at Columbia State. In the NHL, it is Saturday night. Florida will be in Nashville to take on the Predators, 5 p.m. on Valley Sports South. The Preds will be then in Pittsburgh on Sunday at 3 on TNT. NBA, Saturday at 5. The Grizzlies host the New Orleans Pelicans on NBA TV. And in baseball, AAA, Durham and the Sounds continue their series. Friday, 6:35 first pitch. Also Saturday, same time. And then Sunday, 2:05 matinee. And the Braves hosting the Reds, 6:20 on Friday and Saturday, 12:35 on Sunday. All those games on Valley Sports South. And that is your Friday Rundown, brought to you by ChooseChip.net.
Are you happy now?
I am. It was a lot to copy and paste that to get them in the right time order. So I wanted, and we have the times, so we want to give them to you if we have them available to us. And you never know that the times do change quite a bit,
Especially today.
And the times that we gave you may not be 100% accurate, because with snow and sleet and everything else going on in the world of
Maybe bogus times.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. It's You're talking about outdoor
It's a
sports.
good guess.
Outdoor sports, April, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things do not always go together. So
Not well.
so there you go. That's what we're going to tell you. Anyway, that is it for our first segment, because we need to get to Jeff Him, who will join us on the other side of a break and talk about that Nashville Sounds and Durham Bulls series that has currently the Sounds trailing 2-1 in the series. So we'll see if the weekend will be better for the hometown team. And Jeff Him will tell us on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. I knew that was the music we were coming back to. I was excited. I was like, that's the Hollywood music, the Jimi Hendrix sound style. What have we got going on this weekend, Mo? A lot going on this weekend here in Nashville as the Nashville Sounds continue to host the defending AAA champion, and I guess the only AAA champion ever. I don't know if they won the whole thing or if they just won the South or whatever. I guess we could ask our guest, Jeff Him, who joins us now from the Nashville Sounds, the play-by-play voice of our AAA Nashville baseball team. Jeff, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
It's a nice Friday, even if it is sleeting outside.
Oh, it's going to be a beautiful night for baseball. We got the tarp coming off shortly. It's going to be chilly, but it's been chilly the last couple of days. But I'm just glad we've had no delayed starts, no rain delays, nothing. Even if the temperatures have been less than ideal, we've had a few great nights with the fans coming on back out, and tonight will be no different.
Don't jinx yourself.
Well, I'm not worried about a jinx. I mean, you guys have seen it. This field drains about 10 inches of rain an hour. So, I mean, I still remember a game last year where you could barely see from my booth to the outfield wall because of the downpour, and it looked like a small pond had gathered in the outfield. And I know how well the field drains, but I'm thinking, and even I was thinking, I don't know. And we finished the game. Half hour, 45 minutes later, you look out there and you don't see any standing water. This field is pretty incredible, and I think our fans are getting conditioned to know that even if there's rain somewhere in a forecast, 99.9% of the time we're going to get the game in. And like I said, our tarp is coming off here in about a half hour anyway, so I'm not concerned about tonight. We're going to be good.
It's going to be a lot of fun to continue this series again. Jeff, did last year, did Durham win AAA, or was it just the South, or how did that work last year?
Yeah, it was an odd year, no doubt. We had that 10-game, they called it the final stretch, that got added on, where all AAA teams played those 10 additional games, and that sort of counted as a postseason. and the team that finished with the best record in all of AAA out of the 30 teams would be the final stretch winner, and that was Durham. And they were the regular season champion of the AAA East League. So even though they didn't really square off specifically against any other team in a series for any kind of AAA championship, they did have the best record in that 10-game final stretch. So they are the reigning AAA champions, and they'll be happy to tell you that, I'm sure, if you ask them.
Well, that was kind of the question. I guess my question was, I guess they're the only team that will ever be named the AAA champion because we have two leagues again, right? Or are they still planning to do a AAA wide?
There used to be a AAA championship. There used to be a AAA championship in the former days when the Sounds were in the Pacific Coast League.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a league championship, and then the then International League champion would play the Pacific Coast League champion in what they call the National Championship, the AAA championship. For a long time, it was in Oklahoma City. They would call it the Bricktown Showdown. So there have been AAA champions crowned pre-COVID. Last year was unique with that final stretch, but it was not unprecedented to have a team say, "Hey, we're the AAA champion."
Gotcha. Okay, well that's pretty cool. Tonight, it's one of the rare Fridays that you won't get fireworks, but there's a lot going on. Got the schedule clean giveaway, and this weekend obviously you get the fanny packs, which are coming back, by the way. So fanny packs for everybody. It's always good. Just a really big weekend planned for you guys over at First Horizon Park.
Yeah, we always look forward to any game date, of course, but the weekends are always especially fun just because naturally the crowds are typically in sellout territory, especially once we get closer to summer and school's getting out. The nicer the weather, the better the crowd too, not surprisingly. So we'll see how this weekend plays out. Sunday looks beautiful from what I'm seeing, and we've got a day game that day to wrap up this series. Tomorrow night, we've got a Black Hawk helicopter flyover before the game from the Tennessee Army National Guard, which I'm really looking forward to. Fans want to get here early tomorrow for that. And like you mentioned, the fanny pack giveaway. We, like stadiums and arenas these days, are a clear bag policy facility. So we're helping fans get an easy way to accommodate that by giving them a clear fanny pack tomorrow night. So we do have the giveaway. There'll be a pregame concert tomorrow. And, you mentioned the schedule clean giveaway. That'll be for the first 1,000 fans tonight. And you're right. By and large, a lot of the Fridays this year will have the fireworks. Tonight does not, but a lot of them will. But still, kicking off a weekend, the first weekend of our baseball season, and now the big leaguers are getting underway. So baseball is fully back, and I think our place tonight is a great way to celebrate that for fans who want to come on out.
Sorry, I was a little distracted, but we are visiting with Jeff Ham, the play-by-play voice of the Nashville Sounds, here on Main Street Sports Today. Jeff, off to a little bit of a slow start in this series. Won the opener behind a John Singleton home run, lost game 2 9-4 despite John Singleton home run, and then last night kind of brought the skillets out in a 6-3 loss, kind of clanked a few balls, it sounds like. I'm not sure what you put into 3 games of a 144-game series, but just take us through what you've seen to this point out of this team on the field.
Yeah, I think, last night was definitely, I'm sure, frustrating for the Sounds because Durham scored 6 runs and 5 of them were very avoidable. It was really windy. There were a couple of fly balls that got away from the outfield, and then a couple of really costly errors. So it was a frustrating night. But overall, I think there have been a lot of positives. I mean, you mentioned John Singleton. He's off to a great start. And what a story. I mean, this guy has turned his life around. He has turned his career into a comeback. He's 30 years old, one of the top prospects in the game 7-8 years ago. Made a lot of news back then with the Astros because they gave him a lucrative major league contract before he'd even played a game in the big leagues. And, he's gotten his life turned around. He played in Mexico last year. He re-signed with Milwaukee, or I should say he signed with Milwaukee for this year. And he's off to a great start. I chatted with him for my pregame show yesterday. He seems like he's in a really great spot physically and mentally. He said, I'm a completely different person than I was before. So it's fun to watch a story like that of a guy who's still trying to write his story and not ready to be done and not ready to end his career on a note that it could have ended a few years ago. So that's been fun to watch so far in the middle of that lineup. Jamie Westbrook's already got a couple of multi-hit games. It's a crowded roster, and Rick Sweet has talked about it. He probably talked about it with you guys when you were out here the other day. He wanted to make sure everybody got in a game within the first 2 days. He's just got a lot of guys to get in there, and without double switches and pinch hitting in this universal DH format, it's even more challenging to get guys an at-bat here and there, even when they may not start. So he's trying to get everybody in there. You're not going to see a lot of consistent lineup orders just because of all those interchangeable parts. And, I would say this if the Sounds were 3-0 or 0-3, and right now they're 1-2, it is really hard to put too much into a few games in, especially, I think, in my personal opinion, at the AAA level, when these guys just got to town less than a week ago. They work out for a couple of days. I think it does help to start at home instead of on the road, let them get settled a little bit off the field. But they arrived from Arizona kind of in a flurry, a couple of days of workouts, and now off they go. So in my opinion, in a sport dominated by routine, I think guys on both sides, Durham, I bet, would say the same thing. Everybody's still trying to kind of settle in and find that routine and that comfort level. So it is a little hard to gauge too much of what we're seeing on the field so far, but there definitely have been some positives so far, especially with a few offensive players.
Jeff Him, the voice of the Nashville Sounds. You can hear him on 94.5 each and every game this weekend. 6:35 first pitch on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, that 2:05 start, as he alluded to earlier. The afternoon game should be a lot of fun. But, Jeff, looking forward to this weekend, and keep it up. We'll talk to you again soon.
You bet, guys. Thanks so much.
Have a good one. Didn't get to mention this, so I'm going to do it before we get off the air. Brian Navarrete, Navarre,
Navarre.
T-O.
Okay.
So that's,
Navarro?
I got nothing.
Anyway.
Threw out 3 runners attempting stolen bases last night for the Sounds.
For the Sounds?
Yes.
So he is the Sounds catcher.
Well, he is the Sounds. Apparently, he's the backup catcher because Mario Feliciano's the catcher.
So he is the Sounds catcher.
Last night he was.
Because he just threw out 3 base runners in one game. Yeah, he is the Sounds catcher.
I mean, my goodness.
Look at me.
Hey.
I'm the captain now.
Oh, man, what a great night for that kid. When we come back, we've got the Vought. Mike Keith joins us next on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Stay with us. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, JP Plant, behind the scenes. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on this Friday edition as we get you ready for the weekend that is ahead, including the Masters, which Danny Willett, the Jacksonville State graduate and 2016 Masters winner, is currently atop the leaderboard, 3 under par. So go, Danny.
Stay cocky.
That's right.
What was that thing?
It's this thing, yeah. So it's like
beak?
a little beak, yeah.
Okay.
So, you know.
All right.
Anyway.
You won't see me do that very often for a number
it's
of reasons,
unique.
one of which it's
Especially
not
considering
terribly easy to do, but
and going forward we'll be conference foes. So
yeah.
anyway.
MTSU doesn't have any kind of a cool hand signal, I don't
We
think.
need to-
Maybe
we
that's an
need to
M.
get-
I don't
we
know.
do that. I don't know. We just
I
gotta
don't
do
know.
something.
Yeah.
But other things going on this weekend, not just on the television, or if you happen to be out, before you go to the Nashville Sounds game tomorrow night, maybe you can come down to Columbia and hang out with the Vought, Mike Keith, who joins us now here on the show to talk about the Official Titans podcast, which will be on the road. On the road again, he is. And Mike, how are you, man? Have you got your bags packed to come down here yet?
Yes, it's such a long journey to Columbia. I've got to prepare because I've never been to Columbia before, so I'm very excited. I'm packing multiple bags.
Have you plugged it into your GPS or your Google Maps or whatever it is that it takes to get down here from South Franklin?
From the south part of Franklin where I live?
Yeah.
I haven't yet, but I do actually do that sometimes just to avoid road construction and such. So it is handy for that reason. My wife likes to make fun of me because I do put it into my, my navigation system even before I like going to work. She's like, "You've worked in the same place for 24 years. Let it go." And it's like, no, it's because if there's a wreck or there's construction or whatever, it's a very handy tool. So I will probably ride the bus tomorrow. We have a fancy bus, like a tour bus. And so I'm going to ride the bus tomorrow because
Okay. So wait a minute. Stop. You live in South Franklin. You live over close to Berry Farms, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Just north of there, yes.
Okay. You're going to drive out to STSP?
No. They're gonna come.
They're gonna pick him up.
Oh, they're going to pick
on
you.
the way.
Oh, so the bus is going to come through and pick you up. Oh, so you got it
Myself
like that.
and Rhett Bryant.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. Well, and they have to pick out the red M&Ms too, Mo.
His
they're
contract
things
rider is just
contractually-
insane.
This John
No,
Madden and
but-
Mike Keith.
No, wait a minute. The truth is not having to park. That's the big thing. Is that I wouldn't mind driving myself in the least, but not having to park. And I just think it will be cool for our entire staff and T-Rack to come in on the bus, don't you?
I do think that will be cool, and I will be sure and
Yeah.
prompt our photographer to get
Fancy.
y'all coming off the bus. Yeah, you fancy, huh? Yeah. Mike Keith, the voice
Why
of
did I agree to do this interview? Why did I agree
because you love me.
I do love you. That is true. That is 100% true, and I always say.
Glutton for punishment, Mike Keith here on Main Street Sports.
Here's the thing, and anybody that knows Mike Keith will tell you this. If you get a chance to get a shot at Mike, you better take it. So,
well, that the people don't fail to do that. They take advantage of that. Yes.
Oh man,
I do have,
especially friends and family members.
I do have to say, I was unaware of this OTP road tour that commences tomorrow at 3 at the Columbia Welcome Center, just off the square between Lily Ann's and the police station, by the way. So if you're looking for it, until Mike reached out to me yesterday morning and said, "Hey, you know this?" No, I don't. So wanted to be sure we let people know. Again, I think space is limited, so if you're planning to go,
yeah,
might want to get there early.
It's limited, all right. I don't know if they're going to do this outside or inside, but
weather pending, I would imagine. But no, Mike Keith and Amy Wells co-host the official Titans podcast that started up back in March of 2018. They will be joined by Coach Mack, who will be worth the price of admission himself,
no doubt,
as color analyst for
Always.
Titans Radio, and Rhett Bryan, as well as T-Rack. So from 3 to 5 tomorrow.
So that's our Titans Radio broadcast team, the four of us. And so we're going to be there doing the podcast and interacting with what we call the OT people, the official Titans people who listen to the OTP. And
down with OTP?
hopefully
you
doing
know me.
what we did with Mo is making more people – oh, yes, we've heard that too. Making more people aware of the official Titans podcast. That's one of our big goals. Hopefully we'll get more people to become regular subscribers and enjoy it. Tomorrow is actually, I just found this out, it is our 300th episode tomorrow.
It's convenient.
At 3
So
p.m.
it will be a milestone episode of the OTP.
It really, well, anytime Coach Mack is on, it's a milestone. That's the greatest thing in the world about having Coach Mack is that whenever he's involved, it's always interesting. We will be prepared and we will have, a topic and some questions and things like this. It will veer off that very quickly. All of that preparation will be worthless because he will do his, as he likes to say, Coach Mack stuff, which is always more interesting than anything I can come up with.
So there's a rough outline for the podcast, and therere's what the podcast
No. There
becomes.
will be a firm outline. There will be a plan. I've been sitting here working on it for 2 hours. I've written out notes, and it will go awry within the first 6 to 7 minutes.
This sounds like somebody's Hall of Fame.
All that preparation down the drain. We're not talking about defensive backs today? What do you mean?
We're not just talking. I mean, we'll hear a story about the Bears from when he was there with Mike Ditka. We'll get something from his days coaching with Jeff Fisher. We'll hear draft stories. And all of that is far more interesting. I mean, really what I try to do, and this is in all seriousness, I try to set up some points. It's like we're going to talk about, like he does a complete draft preparation, just like Daniel Jeremiah, Charles Davis, Mel Kiper. I mean, he does film, he does grading, just like he was still in a room with a team, which is amazing. And so because Titans Radio is going to broadcast the first 3 rounds wall to wall, he has come up with his top 150 players. And, there are 105 picks in the first 3 rounds. And so if you come up with 150 players, you're probably going to get all 105 that get picked. Well, he's going to have, we'll lead him into some insights about his 150 and then, about certain positions and about certain trends. and then he will take it in the Coach Mack direction, which is fantastic. If you love football or you just love stories or you love personalities, I just love to let him go. It's my favorite thing in the whole world.
Speaking with the VOT, the voice of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Keith, here on Main Street Sports Today, the official Titans podcast will be making the first stop on its OTP live tour tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Columbia Welcome Center. Mike, in our second hour today, we are going to have one of my favorites, one of your favorites, Mike DeTillier, the Louisiana-based NFL draft analyst. What do I need to ask him?
I think that the incredible thing about the trend in this draft that I would love to hear Mike D talk about is just what he thinks is going to happen with quarterbacks realistically in the top 15. Because I think that's going to determine a lot of what happens in this first round. Does Kenny Pickett go 6th to Carolina? Do they take Malik Willis instead? Is there another sleeper in the bunch? Is somebody just in love with Matt Corral? Does somebody trade up to do something? Do none of those guys go very highly? You know, do teams just keep passing on them and we get into the teens before a quarterback is selected? If you're watching from the Titans' perspective, you are dying to know that, because those things are going to have a direct impact on who is still there at 26 for the Tennessee Titans. The other thing I'd be interested to know from Mike D as well is how many receivers does he think come off the board in the first 15 to 20 picks? Because that too, and for that matter, edge rushers, because those are two positions that are really deep. For example, in Coach Mack's top 150, he has 7 quarterbacks and he has 19 wide receivers. How about that?
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Where do you think the Titans are going to go at 26? Not necessarily player, but position.
Well, I think they definitely could go wide receiver, because there may be somebody there you can't pass up due to the fact that somebody falls. I would say the same thing for edge rusher. And those are such difficult positions. I think the sleeper might be corner. You're talking about 3 positions that you can't have enough of.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get somebody at incredible value at 26, then you've got potentially a 5th-year option with them, like what the Titans have with Jeffrey Simmons, by taking them in the first round. I don't see the Titans trading up to go get somebody unless it's very inexpensive, and I think they would only move up a spot or two. I could definitely see them dealing out of the first round. I could definitely see them trying to add a 2nd round or a 3rd round pick,
especially since they don't currently have a 2nd rounder, right?
Correct.
Would you see them taking? Go ahead.
And because, let's say, so I mentioned corner, edge rusher, and wide receiver. I think you can find a quality one of those players also in the 2nd and the 3rd round. So you could, instead of just taking one, you might be able to take 2 or 3 based on picking up an extra pick somewhere.
Do the Titans take a quarterback on day 2?
I mean, I think that would be a surprise to me right now, based on the fact that they only have 1 pick in day 2. If they deal back, I'll give you an example. So Detroit has pick 2, pick 32, and then pick 34. Well, what if Detroit wanted to deal pick 66 and pick 34 for pick 26?
Then yes.
Well, then if you're at 34, 66, and 90 on day 2, then maybe you do something like that. If you love somebody, if somebody's sitting there that you're absolutely in love with. If you only have pick 90, Mo, I don't think so. because you've got other needs. This draft class has to play for these Titans because of where they are in the salary cap. The last couple of draft classes haven't been needed as badly immediately, but because the Titans are so tight against the cap, they're going to need help from this draft class a lot more probably than they have in recent years.
And that's
immediately.
That's pretty what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't happen very often that when a team feels like it's in a window to make a deep postseason run, that at the same time you've got to have rookies come in and play.
Well, yes and no. I mean, do they start and star? Not necessarily, but I'm saying they've got to have roles. They've got to make the football team. They've got to provide quality depth. In some areas, they probably would have to have some roles. You know, if this were a wide receiver with some speed, you would want that guy to play this year. That would help a lot. Like Christian Fulton last year, I mean, he didn't play virtually at all in 2020. And then last year on defense, he was one of our best players at corner. That's what we're hoping Caleb Farley is also going to be this year, that he will take the Christian Fulton jump. This group, it would help if some more of these guys could play. You know, if an offensive lineman could play, if you were able to find it. So maybe you draft a little differently in terms of what your aim is, knowing that because you're tight against the cap, you're going to need rookies to provide more depth than you probably did last year.
Speaking with Mike Keith here on Main Street Sports Today, the official Titans podcast live tour will be making its stop Saturday at 3:00 here at the Columbia Welcome Center. And so definitely check that out. Make sure to come downtown. They will also be at Martin's Barbecue on 4th Avenue in downtown Nashville on Sunday. So make sure to see them there. And then on the campus of Western Kentucky in Bowling Green on Monday, Cookville at Tennessee Tech on Tuesday, and then Hub City Brewing out in Jackson on Wednesday before finishing up on Thursday at the campus of UT Martin. So that should be fun. Each stop again scheduled from 3 to 5. So check them out at one of those great locations. Mike, before we let you get out of here, I want to ask you, do you have any intentions of either tuning in or taking a trip next Sunday to witness Jeff Fisher's return to the sideline as the Michigan Panthers take on the Houston Gamblers Sunday at 11 o'clock on NBC and Peacock?
I'm interested to see it. I do want to see it. I do want to see what the ball looks like. I want to see what some of the rules are and some of the innovations that they have. You know, we had the AAF had some interesting innovations, and they weren't able to, kind of keep things going, and that was too bad.
Pay anybody? You mean they weren't able to pay anyone?
Well, that's a kind of the point, yes. But some of the safety things, some of the rule changes and the things that they're trying, because I mean, listen, the NFL is continuing to try to evolve with a lot of the safety premises that are out there. I mean, we're trying to improve the punt because, I mean, this is no surprise. Guess what? Concussions went down on kickoffs when we moved the ball up 5 yards, and touchbacks became the number one thing on kickoffs. Well, what do you do to help the amount of concussions on punts?
Hey, Mike, how do you? We're taking a step back here because they're kicking off from 5 yards deeper now. So
right, in that sense they are. But I mean, they're talking about doing a few things. Yeah, they want guys in that league to have a chance to run them back. I get it, because that's a developmental league. But in talking about overall things for our league and what's being discussed, I think without being specific towards the USFL or even the XFL, they are trying some things in different ways, and that's a lot of what I'm interested in. The players, sure, because there will be some guys who are breakthrough guys who will end up in the NFL. That always happens with these other leagues. But I think you're looking at the style of football and new innovations, technical innovations, things that can help the game grow.
There you go. I'll be watching for sure. Again, it's that's an 11 o'clock kick on Sunday on NBC and Peacock. So Jeff Fisher makes his return to the sideline. Mike, we appreciate it as always. Phenomenal stuff, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, and thanks for letting us promote the OTP live in Columbia tomorrow. We appreciate it.
Thank you for doing so, Mike. Always good talking to you.
Thank you, Mo. See you.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the Atlanta Braves because, well, unfortunately, we made a commitment to do so, and as we told you last year, so many times we're doing it because we got to do it.
Well, I think in the end it paid off last year.
You see the point here.
Mm-hmm.
The point is to keep that going,
There we
right? Last time we lost a season opener. Stick around. We'll be right back on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Second half action here on Main Street Sports Today. This Friday edition will be joined by Mike DeTillier of NFL Draft Experts, talking about the upcoming draft, what he thinks. Also, a little Braves conversation as opening day yesterday lost to the Reds. They will not go undefeated. So we will talk about the Braves coming up. Let's send you back now to the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, who will be at that series this weekend, Chris Yao.
That's correct. I will be in the building on Sunday, so looking forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic night. So, as
Braves will not go undefeated.
That's right, they will not.
They can, however, go 161-1.
They could
There you go.
indeed at this point. Mo, before we get started, why don't you tell us about one of my favorite historical facts? as it pertains to the Atlanta Braves on Today in Braves history.
Today in Braves history, April 8th. And I'm not sure that anything in Braves history happened on April 8th other than this.
I couldn't tell you.
As long as we do Today in Braves history, this will be the April 8th note. So, with his fourth inning home run off Dodgers starter Al Downing, Hank Aaron became the all-time leader with 715 for his career, surpassing Babe Ruth. Darrell Evans scored on the homer into the left field bullpen at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium as the host Braves tied that game at 3-3 and went on to score 4 runs in that inning and win the game 7-4.
Yeah, and as we have mentioned on this show multiple times, of course, at Tom House
caught the ball in the bullpen
for catching, giving a shout out to the man, the not only the best bullpen home run catcher in the history of time, but one of the best Twitter accounts.
One of the better follows on Twitter.
So
at Tom House, is that what it is?
At Tom House,
keeping it simple. Yeah.
I wanted to mention him on Twitter when I threw that out there, but he's awesome. If you're not following Tom House, make sure to do so. Yeah, one of my favorite memories as far as April 8th is concerned. I don't know. There may be other things that have happened, but I mean,
I can't imagine what they were. I was just short of my 10th birthday. I remember sitting at the kitchen table watching it on about a black and white portable TV about so big. I don't know what the measurements were, but it's pretty indelible memory for me. So, yeah. Significantly more indelible than last night.
Yeah, you know, and again, I said this on Twitter. One, I haven't had a chance to look up the ump scorecard today, but I can't imagine that it was positive in the favor of the Braves, which it rarely is, to be honest with you. But I found, here we go, only 0.21 runs for Cincinnati, but 88% accuracy, 88% consistency, 83% called strike accuracy.
83?
83% of strikes were called correctly. And it felt
That's
like
not
almost
a good number, is it?
No, the average is 88.
Okay. And you follow that a lot more closely than I do, so I didn't know what was a good or acceptable or reasonable number there, but I didn't think 83 was.
This is bad. I mean, and if you watch the game last night, you're just like, my goodness, this guy's calling balls, 3-4 inches off the plate, strikes when Atlanta's hitting, and then balls that are actually strikes on the outside corner were being called balls when Atlanta was pitching.
You texted me that as I was making my way back to town.
It was insane
yesterday, and I was listening to Ben Ingram and Joe Simpson, which is, and I never thought I'd say this, but which is a treat in and of itself. But I could not see the strike zone or what was being called, so did not know.
It was not good, period. And so, nonetheless, it's washed. It's over.
Yeah.
Unlucky game. Max Fried actually pitched really well, but the Reds did exactly what they tell you to do: hit them where they ain't.
They did, and made some pretty soft contact on some balls successfully.
And so,
meanwhile, the Braves, as I tweeted, stung a lot of balls last night.
113-mile-an-hour ground ball that ended an inning, by the way.
Matt Olson hit one about 110.
It was 113. That's the one I'm talking
into
about.
The shift.
Into India, who was playing shallow right field.
Yeah, playing rover
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
It was a rough night for the Braves. Guy who gave up 3 home runs total last year gives up one to the first batter he faces. Fried couldn't get anybody to hit right at anybody. Track power for the Braves all night. Everything that could go wrong for Atlanta last night did. That's okay.
But they got it out of the way. They're going to win the next 161.
It's out of the way. It doesn't matter. They play again tonight. It will be
Valley,
Revere San Martin, and Charlie Morton on the bump for the Braves. So we try again. See what happens. When we come back, we will talk to Mike DeTillier of the he's a WWL something like that. WWLAM FM. So come back with us. He'll tell us all about who the Titans are going to pick on the other side of the break. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton and JP Plant on the controls. Glad to have you with us here on this Friday edition as we are getting you ready for the weekend ahead in sports, as a lot of great stuff going on, and I'm looking forward to it. And one of the things that will not be going on this weekend, but is coming up momentarily, just around the corner, it feels like, is the National Football League's annual amateur draft. And just our luck, JP, Mo here has some friends in the biz.
He's got one or two.
And we are so glad that he does, because we get a chance to talk to NFL draft expert Mike DeTillier now. And Mike, how are things down in the Bayou?
I'm doing great. Hey, nice weather. It's windy today, but it's doing good. Doing good.
Mike, we really appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon. Talk a little draft. Round one of this year's NFL draft will take place on Thursday, April 28th, followed by rounds 2 and 3 on Friday. Finishes up with rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. Obviously, the biggest concern here locally is at number 26, which is where the Tennessee Titans draft. But before that, obviously, The Jacksonville Jaguars with the number 1 pick, the Lions 2, Houston 3. Mike, is there a clear-cut number 1 in this draft?
For me, it is, and it's Evan Neal, offensive tackle from Alabama. Now, again, that's just my opinion of it. He edges out Aiden Hutchinson on my board to be the top guy. This guy has played 3 positions at Alabama and could, project either to right tackle, left tackle, or left guard in the pros. If I'm Jacksonville and I'm smart, when you can't put those 2 things together, Jacksonville and being smart.
No, you cannot.
But I got a lot invested in Trevor Lawrence. I got to protect him. And, again, when you got a big-time quarterback, you better get him weapons and you better be able to keep him upright. And they've had difficult times with that. So we've talked to different people and being on WWL that feel it's sort of a mixed bag, that maybe the Jags are leaning toward Aiden Hutchinson. But, for me, it would be Evan Neal from Alabama. I think he's the best player in this draft, and he gives you opportunities here to protect your most prized investment in Trevor Lawrence.
The Detroit Lions probably would not be sad.
I was just about to say that.
Evan Neal was to go number 1 so that they could take Aiden Hutchinson from right there in their backyard over at Ann Arbor. So, I would think either of those plays out well for Detroit.
Coach Campbell was here for a number of years as tight end coach with the Saints, and he's a real character. Man, listen, he's a tough guy, and I think Aiden Hutchinson would really fit really well with Detroit. And you look at the Lions, they need help all across the board. It's not just in one spot, but I think Hutchinson would be a really good fit for them. The wild card is Travon Walker from Georgia. And, if Hutch gets picked, first, I wouldn't rule that out with Walker. I really wouldn't. I think there are some concerns about Kayvon Thibodeau enough that Detroit's going to take a long look around, if Hutchinson goes with the top pick.
Certainly interesting thoughts there. When we talked about the overall number 1, which we, us Titan fans haven't had to worry about, in a while. So, but seriously, it's interesting how in the last couple of years it's been an obvious pick, and this year it's not. So that's one of the dramatic things. Normally it's just like, why are we taking 15 minutes to make this pick when you've had 6 months? Well, now there's a reason to maybe take a little bit extra time. So interesting.
Yeah. Mike, we had the voice of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Keith, on with us earlier in this show, and we asked him for something to ask you because clearly he knows more about this than we do. Maybe not as much as you do. But how do you see quarterbacks, particularly in the top 15 picks, falling?
Mike?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh,
there he is.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Mike, how do you see quarterbacks going in the first 15?
Well, I see Kenny Pickett going to Carolina and Malik Willis going to Atlanta. Not that either one are graded as top 10 picks, but, I work with a couple quarterbacks year-round, so to speak, and they both got a saying about quarterback trumps every position, and they about right. And when you look at it in the NFL, they probably got a dozen teams in the NFL looking to upgrade their quarterback spot. And that's just not enough. And you look at Carolina and the connection there. Matt Rule recruited Kenny Pickett out of high school, and he was a commitment. to Temple when Matt was there.
Oh, wow.
Matt moves on, goes to Baylor, and Kenny decides to go to Pitt.
Good
And
call.
I think that there's a natural connection there, and there's a big hole at quarterback at Carolina. Matt Rule knows a lot about Kenny Pickett and how good of a player he is. With Atlanta, there's an obvious hole at quarterback now that you've traded off Matt Ryan, and you got Marcus Mariota, but he's not the future of that team. Malik Willis is not quite ready for prime time yet, but he is physically gifted, great arm, built like a linebacker, and great, tremendous leader, very smart young man. He's got some erratic play in him, so you know he's not ready to be thrown in right away. But I think in time he'll end up being a pretty doggone good football player for Atlanta if they pick him. So I see both Pickett and Willis going in the top 10. The big question mark for me is where the third quarterback goes. Because, you know, it has a lot of mixed opinion on Matt Corral from Ole Miss, on Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati. And I really feel pretty strong that those two quarterbacks will go in the top 10. Felt that back in January, feel that back today. But always question where the third quarterback would go and how far down he would end up going before being selected. Because I think both of them were selected pretty close together.
Does Seattle not go quarterback at 9?
I really don't know. I think if one of those two guys were available, they might. But Pete's not going to press the issue here for a quarterback. I do know, though, it wouldn't surprise me to see Seattle in some kind of deal get back into round one if they had an opportunity to pick Matt Corral. And here's the connection. When Pete was at USC, his wide receiver coach was Lane Kiffin. And you know, who coached Matt Corral at Ole Miss is Lane Kiffin. We had Coach O on with us last week on WWL, and I asked Coach, hey, you're picking in round one and Matt Corral's in the 20s, you pick him? And he said, you better believe it. And I know just how close Coach O and Pete Carroll are. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Seattle jump back in some kind of deal. They had a shot with Matt Corral because of the connection to Lane Kiffin, who got coached, basically Coach Corral, and by Coach O, who had to play against him for a couple of years.
Speaking with Mike Detillier, NFL draft analyst at Mike Detillier on Twitter, here on Main Street Sports Today.
You know, I'm curious, Mo, about that particular aspect, because a lot of folks were saying that the Titans might be in on Matt Corral at 26, but Mike Keith said if they could maybe deal 26 to get a second round or another couple picks, I wonder if Seattle might be that team that deals with them at 26 to get Corral, and there could be some interesting moves there. I would be interested.
You
to
might
see
have
that
a bingo there. You might have something there, but I do think Seattle, because of connect. And listen, this world's all about connections.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people don't like to admit that, but it's true. A lot of people get jobs because of connections. A lot of people get picked because, you know, they coach somebody and you were on that staff at one time. So that's not out of the ordinary for that to happen. And I've been impressed with Matt, having watched him. He came to Manning camp, and I got to be around that and see how he handled himself and the group. And I was impressed with him, to be honest with you. And when they gave off his size, surprised me even bigger, because I didn't think he was that big. And he certainly wasn't over 200 pounds when I saw him back in July, though, again, that summer heat in Louisiana can take its toll on you. Maybe it just soaked out of him.
There you go. Mike, should the Titans hold on to that number 26 pick and execute that pick, what are your thoughts about where they might go there?
I think, a lot of times when you're picking that late, because it's similar, we've done this so many years with the Saints, and they had picked in that mid-20s category. The draft falls to you. You don't fall to the draft. And when I look at it, I could see a player like Kenyon Green, who played some tackle at A&M, but really is a guard, or Tyler Lindenbaum, the center from Iowa, being there when you select. There's going to be a player that's going to fall for whatever reasons to you. Sometimes it's, teams pick needs. They can talk about best player on the board, but we all know that's a bunch of horse hockey. It has a lot to do with them trying to fill a need. So it wouldn't surprise me one of those interior offensive linemen are still there when the Titans pick. The other player that's interesting for me is George Pickens, the wide receiver from University of Georgia. I saw him play as a high school kid. He came to one of our camps here in Louisiana, our pitch and catch camp.
I saw him play live, Mike. He's a heck of a ball player. I saw him play live a couple of times. A heck of a ball player at Hoover High School.
Yeah, man, and can he motor? And he's a big receiver. He can get down, and run the chalk for you. And after the catch, he's dangerous. Now, we didn't see a lot of him last year because he had the knee injury. But my goodness, he is very talented, and he may be in that number. And listen, the Titans they pick people who've coming off of injuries.
I was about that's what we want to see. That's like a prerequisite.
It's to be hurt. and something else about Pickens that works is he's not afraid to get dirty in the run game either. And the Tennessee Titans like receivers that will block downfield, and he fits that mold.
Yeah, you bring that up. It's a good point. This morning I was talking to Pete Jenkins, longtime defensive line coach, and he's just finishing up working with the Georgia Bulldogs, kind of helping out. He does that, goes to Georgia and Alabama and Kentucky every year. And we were talking about Pickens, and he said, I heard what you said about him. And he said, Mike, I agree. He's a tough guy. And he said, he really can block extremely well. And he said, it's a gift. A lot of guys don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, hey, just throw me the ball. That's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But he said, you watch Pickens, he's going to be aggressive as a blocker. And he said, listen, if you're playing at Georgia, you better learn how to block because you're not going to be playing much.
If you don't.
That style of play. So, and you think about all that talent they were able to accumulate. And so, but I think Pickens is a wild card here, very similar to, I think, as a top 20 pick, Jamison Williams is. Because had he not gotten hurt in the national championship game, he would have been a top 10 pick. He'd have been the top receiver on everyone's board and been selected before you got to 11. Now he's in that 11 to 20 range where you look back and how the Titans selected Jeffrey Simmons, who would have been probably a top 5 or 6 pick the year he came out. But he lasted because of the knee injury. You see, what it's less than 2 months for Williams, and man, they posting videos. Man, he's doing high runs and lifting up his knees and run. It's amazing that people ask me. I've done this 36 years. Was the biggest change? And I said modern medicine. You look at guys that have knee injuries or Achilles injury, and man, that was something that potentially could end your career.
Right.
Or keep you out a full year. Today, those guys are back, 6 to 7 months afterwards. That's amazing to me, how that's done. And again, the modern medicine part is the biggest change I've seen in pro football, college football, in the last 36 years, how quickly these young men can come back from the surgery.
Man, I'm telling you, this draft is kind of wide open, and it's one of the more wide open drafts that we've seen in the last several years. So I think there's a lot of drama that's going to lead up to the night of the draft, and it's going to play out throughout the entirety of that first night and probably through day two.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mike, give us one thing, one guy who is kind of maybe that second day guy for everybody else that you think sneaks into the first round. Maybe like who was the guy, Noah Igbenogany from Miami a couple years ago, who nobody saw coming in the first round. Do you have one of those guys?
Today, that's a real difficult one because everybody knows everybody.
Sure.
As far as people talk about, because a lot of times, like with me, I got 24 first-round pick grades, but there are 32 first-round picks. and so what you think is a second-round pick ends up being a first-round pick because it fills a need for a team.
Sure.
It really does. One of the guys to watch for me, is that tight end, Greg Dulcich from UCLA. I've got him ranked as the best tight end in this draft. He was a preferred walk-on at UCLA. And a crazy story, where I live at, I still live on the bayou. Everybody thinks I live in New Orleans, but I live a little further south. My area got bullseye for Hurricane Ida. And so we had some communications issues. Well, Coach O finally got through to me, just see how I made out and everything. And he said, "Man, we headed to California, man, play UCLA." I said, "One thing you better do, you better guard Greg Dulcich." He said, "Hey, we got him targeted. He ain't gonna make a lot of catches with us." First half, he caught 3 passes for like 70-something yards and scored. So they still trying to cover him. You look at his ability to catch the football cleanly and get separation. I'm so impressed with him as a player. And, he's not going to be a great blocker. Well, none of them are today, to be honest. They're getting away. They're not doing some heavy-duty block.
They're just big wide receivers these days, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But he's a guy that really impresses as from my standpoint and how good he is. And he has sort of flown a little bit under the radar as far as talent is concerned. And on defense, it would be Lewis Seen from Georgia. You can get caught up in all that top talent at Georgia, especially that front seven talent. But watch Lewis Seen play safety. Man, he's a physical, downhill, tough guy that plays the run extremely well. He makes really good open field tackles. He's gotten so much better in the coverage part of the game where he kind of can sense where the ball is. And I've told a number of scouts who sort of double check SEC players that, man, to me, Lewis Seen's a guy late in round 1 I would take a long look at because he can do everything you want a safety to do. Now, I get it with Kyle Hamilton. He's a tremendous athlete, and, he'll be a top dozen pick. And Daxton Hill from Michigan, his coverage skills that he can play in the slot will get him picked in the 20s. But Lewis Seen and Jalen Petrie from Baylor are 3 and 4 for me. And those two guys can play. I watched Jalen as a high school player. He was recruited by one of the schools here in Louisiana. They didn't get him. He goes to Baylor. Does a great job for Dave Aranda. And Dave gave him a lot of leeway. And Dave told me back in the summer, man, I got something special with Jalen Petrie. He's not the biggest, the fastest, strongest guy, but he is a football player, and he has got instincts that you can't teach. And so on defense, it would be Lewis Seen and Jalen Petrie. Now, a lot of people aren't maybe necessarily talking about those two safeties because of Daxton Hill and Kyle Hamilton, but those are two guys that are really, really impressive to me. And this is a meat and potato draft, guys, to be honest with you. It's a big man draft up front along the offensive, defensive lines. And so every draft has its own little kind of mystery tour. Well, it ain't no mystery in this draft. It's reality. It's a big man draft of offensive, defensive linemen. And I think you'll see them peel off the board real quickly in the first 2 rounds. But I'm intrigued with Greg Dulcich at tight end, Lewis Seen, and Jalen Petrie at safeties.
Mike DeTillier, WWLAMFM on Twitter. And then Mike DeTillier, you can look us up if you don't know how to spell that. You can find him tagged on our page to follow him on Twitter.
Absolutely. Mike, we appreciate so much you taking some time with us this afternoon.
Hey, anytime. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to take one final break, and when we come back, the final parting shots before the weekend. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today right after this. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. NFL not the only draft coming up. WNBA draft is April 11th. That's at 6 o'clock on ESPN. And I noticed
Monday.
That is Monday, in fact.
6 o'clock our time?
Yes.
Huh.
So 43 all-time WNBA draft picks. 49 Lady Vols have played in the WNBA. 18 first-round draft picks. And 3 number one overall draft picks. All of those numbers should have gone up by 1, including the number 1 overall pick, because it certainly looks like Ryan Howard is going to be the number 1 overall pick Monday night. So, yeah.
According to the Athletics mock, Ryan Howard out of Bradley Central High School in Cleveland, Tennessee, just down I-75 from Knoxville, is expected to go to the Atlanta Dream with the number 1 pick overall, ahead of Nalissa Smith out of Baylor. So,
certainly unfortunate.
Oh, well, it is what it is at this point.
Good for Ryan Howard.
Absolutely. Fantastic for Ryan Howard. I hope that comes through. She's very deserving. I mean, she had a fantastic career at the University of Kentucky, which you have to pass by the University of Tennessee to get to from Cleveland. But nevertheless, I'm not bitter.
No, not you. Danny Willett falling off, by the way, as bogeyed. It looks like 3 holes in a row, so he's back to 1 under par. That's not great, but
still early.
It's early.
He's going to make the cut, right?
Most likely.
Where is Tiger?
The last I saw Tiger, and I want to make sure that I get this right. Right now, Scotty Scheffler at 4 under is the leader in the club, and he is not in the clubhouse. He's through 8 right now. Danny Willett at 1 under, tied for 9th, and Eldrick Tiger Woods is 3 over for the day, sitting at 2 over overall and tied for 28th, along with Rory McIlroy, who is finished for the day. Justin Thomas at 1 over for the tournament, tied for 23rd. Tiger will be hitting off the back 9 here momentarily, so still got some time to make up some ground here, but that's what it is. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Anything that you got that you need to get off your chest before the weekend? Nobody? No. We're good? All right, let's come back then Monday, 2 p.m. right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. All the Main Street media outlets, you can find us, and you can also find our podcast. Just search Main Street Sports Today. You'll get all 3. Segment 1, Segment 2. You'll get all of our special guests by themselves. All of that is available wherever you get your podcast. So come back again Monday. We appreciate it. For JP and Mo, and I'm Chris, we tell you, Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the week.